Okay, so I think I've kind of figured it out and I've simplified it so that we can all understand this a little bit better. Okay, so how do we find vanishing points accurately for off-axis objects? So what I went and did was I kind of watched all those videos, I ingested it, and I was super confused for like a day, and then now I'm going to regurgitate it out hopefully in a simpler, easier to understand way. So we have this 3D model that I've set up here, and because I set this up, I know what the lens is, I know how far away we are from the objects, and I know how rotated the objects are. So from those variables, because those variables are known to me, we can work backwards and find all the tools that we're going to need to set up different boxes in this scene or this picture at varying angles of rotation off axis. So I know because I set this Photoshop file up, this Blender file up, that I took this box and I duplicated it over and I rotated it 45 degrees. And we'll call that the pink box. And I took another box and I duplicated it, moved it to the left, and rotated it 15 degrees. We'll call that the yellow box. So the way that we will be rotating these boxes accurately and finding our vanishing points is by using a thing that I just learned about called a station point. So we need to find that station point. And all we really need to know about the station point is that it represents the distance from the camera or the viewer to the picture plane. It's kind of confusing, doesn't really matter that much, but what we really need to know is that the station point is always directly below the center of vision or the 1 point in the 1 point perspective. So the next thing I want to do is make a perspective grid based off of this box and the ground plane to find my focal point, my center point. And when we find our center point, that's also going to be our horizon line or our eye line. So we got our horizon line / eye line, whatever you want to call it, and we have our perspective grid. Okay, so now I can start finding my station point. And we know, all we need to know right now is that the station point will be at some point below the center of our vision or the 1 point in the 1 point perspective. So it'll be somewhere down here somewhere. Now we can find this station point easily in a scene by using 45-degree angles or 90-degree angles. And I have one object that's rotated 45 degrees. So we're going to use that to find our station point. And from our station point, we can have different angles, and we can use those angles to rotate boxes in varying degrees. So like 15 degrees, 45, whatever we want, which like the yellow box there. So now that I have my station point vertical line here, I'm just going to do it because I already made them. But what I would do is I would draw lines out from any lines that are receding towards the right off my pink box. So I went ahead and did that. And I found my right side vanishing point for the pink box. And now I want to find the left side vanishing point for the pink box. So I did that with some green lines here. And from there, if I make 45-degree lines, so I'm going to grab this pink color. I'm going to grab my line tool, and if you hold Shift in Photoshop, and I'm going to zoom way, way out. And if you hold Shift in Photoshop, it'll snap to certain degrees. So we know it's snapped to 45 degrees here, which is exactly what we want. So we got 45 degrees there, and we'll intersect that with that left side vanishing point, and then we'll do the exact same thing with the right side vanishing point. And now, and I'll take that intersection there and I'll connect it to the right side vanishing point. And we now have found our station point. And from this station point, we can use different angles to find vanishing points of differently, angled objects in space. So I'm going to delete the one that I just made, and I'm going to drop in a station point that's nice and clean. And another thing that I did with this station point is I drew a horizontal because we're going to need that to measure our angles, right? So if I turn on that 90-degree pink, those lines that we made to find the station point, which have a 90-degree angle here, you can see that from this 0-degree line, there's a delta or a change of 45 degrees here, right? So that means anything that is at an angle of 45 degrees from the picture plane in our scene will recede to this left vanishing point and this right vanishing point. And we could do the same exact thing for our yellow box. So I want to do that now. I don't remember where I put those, but I think it's here. No, delete that. Yeah. So here's the right side vanishing point for the yellow box, and it's way, 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 way out there, okay? And here's the left side lines for the yellow box, right? And it's really, really close. It's in our canvas, our picture frame, right? So now, if I do that same trick and I make 90-degree lines, and I can just duplicate this thing, right? And I have this 90-degree thing. And I rotate, oops, I'm going to zoom out a ton. And I rotate these 90-degree lines so that they intersect with the station point and the two vanishing points. You're going to see something kind of crazy here. If I go here, I go like that. You're going to notice that if I measure this angle here, it should be 15 degrees because that's the amount of delta that we have in this box that we rotated. So I'm going to delete this. I have a nice clean yellow 90-degree thing there for the yellow box. And I have a protractor somewhere. Oh, here it is. And we can measure out from 0 degrees. And look at that. The delta in this yellow from the 0 degrees of the station point horizontal to the top of the yellow line is 15 degrees. Right? And guess what? Our left side vanishing point will be right there. And our right side vanishing point will be over there. So I'm going to mark those now. Right side vanishing point and our left vanishing point. Okay, so basically all we really need is a station point that we found by looking at a 45-degree box, drawing out the right and left side vanishing point, and then making this 90-degree kind of tool. I don't know, I just called it like a pink 90-degree thing, and dragging it down the center point of the image, or where, you know, the vertical line that matches up with the one point of perspective, dragging that down until it lines up with the left and right vanishing point there. And from there, I found my station point. Then I can draw a horizontal line and then draw other 90-degree tools, I guess, or measurement tools, and move those from 0 degrees all the way to 90 degrees. So what you're going to see there, right, is like, what is that? This all checks out, right? So really what we see here is like, okay, like technically this box is on a 90-degree. Like if we rotated it 90 degrees, we wouldn't be able to tell. So if I took my tool, my pink tool, right, and I'm going to change it to a different color. Let's like try blue. Or let's do green. And I start this back at 0 degrees, right? So I line that up with the station point horizontal. And then let's say I rotated this 90 degrees. You're going to see that it lines up with this vertical. And I can just delete it because it will line up with that vertical. But check this out. Hold on, let me undo that. Now we have, it would go 90 degrees that way and it would line up with that vertical, which means our vanishing points are in an infinite direction. So let's see if we use the white again. This would kind of technically be like our right side vanishing point. And then our left side vanishing point would be all the way out there to infinity, which gives us a 1-point perspective, which makes sense because we just rotated 90 degrees. Before I stop, I should do, okay, so now what if we don't have a 3D model? What if we want to make a box that is 30 degrees off axis? And I'll just draw it. So we can take those same tools, right? And we can make something that, we can make some vanishing points. So if I have this protractor down here, we're going to do this in a different color. We'll do it in like a blue. So I'm just going to go, I'm going to rotate 30 degrees. So I have my 0 degrees here, and I can go out from here and get my right side vanishing point at 30 degrees, right? Because now if we do this, we have a delta of 30 degrees. And then I need to go 90 degrees from here. So 90 plus 30, it should be, what, 120? So now I could draw another blue line. That goes out to the 120 marker. So we got 30 there, and we're going to go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. We got 120. So if I go to the 120 line, the angle of the blue lines in relation to each other should be 90 degrees. And this should be our left side vanishing point. And this should be our right side vanishing point for any objects that we want to be rotated at 30 degrees. So I'm just going to arbitrarily draw a box in blue. And the box, I'm just going to start it here. So I'll start it with one side here, and I'll just draw all the way to the right side vanishing point. I'll use a different color for that. Let's use like a cyan. So we're going to go this way, like that. And we're using perfect verticals here. And then I'll do, that's going to be the other side, and then I'll do another line that goes all the way out this way. And then I'm just going to guess that for like our front side there. So if I delete this, then we got that side of the box. Now, if we want to go to the left here, go that way to the left side vanishing point. That way there. And then I can go from the top to the right side vanishing point here. And then I could go straight down from there. And if I delete all these extra lines that are going out to the vanishing point, I should have a box that's rotated 30 degrees. And we can fix this too if it feels like it's not quite right. Go back to this left side vanishing point from that new spot. Yeah. So yeah, this looks like it's been rotated 30 degrees. So if I took a box that's perpendicular and I rotated it in this direction 30 degrees, all of the vanishing points would go towards this 30-degree vanishing point, right? This is our 45-degree vanishing points, the pink. And then if we have anything at a 15 degrees, our 15-degree angle, this would be like our 15-degree vanishing points. So it's kind of super technical. It's very difficult to set up. It takes a long time to understand. But that is how you do it with drawing. I would definitely recommend using Blender and just putting boxes out, because then you could just draw grids over that and it doesn't take as long and you don't have to think as hard. But if you needed to do it and you want to know if there was a way, there is a way. It's incredibly complicated, and this is it. So I hope that was helpful. Thanks.